Hey folks, Doc here. Thought I might take this opportunity to show you my new little project toy thing. This has been a while in the making, and I've certainly got a history, and I'm going to tell you all about that while I show you what I picked up. Alright, so here she is, my latest acquisition, something that I've been wanting to kind of get back into for a long time now. This is a 1992 Honda Shadow VLX600. And I got a thing for shadows. I got a thing for red things too. God, that's pretty. It does need paint. It's needs a lot of cleanup, as a matter of fact. There's 11,270 kilometers on the clock. I don't know if that's rolled through. Given the fact that it's 30 years old, it could have. Chrome has some pitting, needs a little cleanup. Truthfully, it could use a new paint job. You can see where the saddlebags really wore the paint. The seats worn the paint. Side of the tank from the rider's left leg. Right leg hits the airbox, so there's no wear there. But a lot of saddlebag paint damage. I like the color though. I'm going to work on getting a match and just respray the parts in the same color, I think. I just had this seat professionally reupholstered. It is brand new. I just picked it up yesterday morning. Obviously the seat frame or form, if you want to call it that, was reused. But I had this woman about 15 minutes up the road from me redo it. I asked for the red stitching because I thought it would look good on the bike. It's nice and comfortable, and she did an amazing job. If anybody's curious, it ran me a little over $300 Canadian, which is going to be like what, $220, maybe $5 US. She did an amazing job. Don't regret paying for it, that's for sure. Pretty quiet, you know, stock exhaust and all. So let me tell you about how riding kind of came to be for me, I mean really, and how that all led into this. Kind of a cool little story here. In the past, you know, I had a dual sport way the hell back when. It was a Honda XL 350 Enduro that I bought when I lived out in the boonies, and I used to just ride around the yard on it, and all that was fine and good. And I bought a bike in high school just to tinker on, and rode it around the block a few times. It was a CB 500, 73, 74. Ultimately flipped that, really didn't go anywhere. Flashing back about 15 years, maybe a little bit more, my buddy got a 750 Interceptor, 84 or 85 I think it was, street bike. And he said, hey man, do you want to take this thing around the block? So I took it for a loop around the block, and I kind of passed him back the key, and I went, yeah, very nice, whatever. A little while after that, he picked up an 83 or 84 Honda Shadow 750, a cruiser. And he said, do you want to take this thing around the block? So I took it around the block, and around the block, and around the block, and around the block, and eventually I just kind of buggered off. That year, I think I put more miles on his bike than he did. That was so long ago, I honestly don't remember if I even got my learner's permit or if I was just driving totally illegally, other than the fact that, you know, I had a normal car driver's license. But I had a lot of fun on that thing. I'd go out for milk and be gone for 3 hours. I'm sure the wife at the time appreciated that. Don't care. And one day when my mother was getting married for the 3rd time, my buddy, who only had his bikes at that point, he didn't have a car or a truck, he was in between 4-wheeled vehicles, he says to me, listen, I'm going to go pick up my dog. He was getting a little boxer pup. And he says, I've got to go pick up my dog. Do you mind trading vehicles with me for the day? You know, you take my bike, I take your car, I get my dog, you go to your mom's wedding. Okay, cool, I'm down with that. My mother was living about 45-minute drive away. Get some seat time in, I like it, okay. Handed my car keys, got the bike car keys, leather helmet, whole shoot match, and off I went. So there's everybody set up and a few people outside, and this motorcycle comes rolling into my mother's driveway, and damn it all, I thought she was going to have a cardiac arrest. Oh my God, bikers are showing up. And then I flipped off the helmet, undid the leather, and there's, you know, the tie and the nice shirt and the whole shooting match. And I really thought Mom was going to faint. It was great. Anyways, at the time, I had a pretty young family, like a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old sort of thing. And, you know, aside from taking my buddy's bike all over Hell's Half Acre when I actually had a half a chance, I didn't really get to ride much. Not enough to justify what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was go and get my proper license, buy a bike, insure it, license it, the whole shooting match. But the wife didn't work, and she was really bad for giving me grief about, you know, not being around. It's not that I wasn't around a lot, I never went out and partied, I didn't hang out with the guys, but she was just that sort of person where, like, here's an example. Once a year, my dad and I would go on a fishing trip for 3-4 days, work my tail off all year long. 1 week a year, I want to go fishing. It was such a big production. Anyways, enough about my ex-wife, whatever. It wasn't going to happen. Cost of the bike, cost of insurance, and no riding time, it just wasn't worth it. So, didn't get a bike, and that was pretty much the end of it. Rode my buddy's bike around a little bit more, and, you know, that, as they say, is past history. So anyways, flashing forward, I'm not even sure how the topic came up recently. But Amy and I, anybody who's in the Sprocket's Garage Facebook groups knows one of your other administrators, Amy, that's my lady. We were talking about it, and she says, well, you know, why don't you get a bike now? I thought about it, and there's really no reason not to. Both my boys are legal adults now. They don't live with me. My older boy actually lives about 2 blocks up the street, which is fantastic. You know, Amy's girls aren't exactly infants anymore, 13 and 11 years old. Amy works every 4th Saturday, so that's, you know, 1 Saturday a month where, you know, I'm pretty much completely by myself. You know, she's working and I'm just left to my own devices. She sometimes works later than I do in the course of a day. Any given day, I'm done by 4 o'clock. So I now have time to ride. And, you know, obviously things have improved from a budgetary perspective. You know, I'm no longer, you know, paying to raise children, blah, 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 whatever. So here we are. Let's take a cruise through the Facebook Marketplace, specifically looking for Shadows to begin with, because I essentially grew up on a Shadow. I love that bike. I love the feel. I love the low ride height, the balance. Just a nice bike all around. So bombing through the Facebook Marketplace, and I came up with this baby. I'm pretty happy with it. I got a heck of a good deal. Alright, so I spotted this thing on Facebook Marketplace. The guy had originally listed it for, I think, $3,500 Canadian. I didn't get to see it for that price when I found the listing. It was $2,000. I guess he'd marked it down because it hadn't sold in a while. There were newer Shadows selling for less, or listed for less anyways, I should say. I gotta tell you though, the red kind of appealed to me. You know, most of these are black, some of the newer ones got into blues and stuff like that, but the red really pops, and it's kind of a rare color. Any of you have seen my Subaru, it's a similar red, a little bit darker, but I've just got this thing for reds, and of course the RX-7, as I slowly crack back into that, is also red, so I'm kind of a red guy at this point, I guess. Anyways, I went to go look at this thing, and, you know, I like the bike, but there was a bunch of stuff that I found that was going to need attention if I had any hopes of buying it and riding it. The chain could use replacement. They're not expensive. Probably replace the chain and sprockets as a set, even though The sprocket looks pretty good. The rear sprocket, I haven't had a good look at the drive sprocket yet, but it's a little rusty, and I think for the sake of Hillary, I'll replace it. When you pulled out the choke, it would sink. It's still doing it. I got to adjust a little bit more. It would sink right back in immediately, and you couldn't like warm up the engine without holding one hand on the choke. So there's an adjuster knob here I keep having to give a little twist to as things get worked in. But that there was about 1/8 of a tank of janky old fuel sitting in it. This thing had sat for a while. The guy that bought it didn't use it because he had never ridden before, and he was hoping to work his way up to it. So the carburetor was, and I do mean this, stuffed. We started it, we idled it, it would not rev up, period. It would just fall on its face, you know, dead lean. So I've run some fresh gas through it, and you know, I can ride it down the street now and it revs up. I'm still gonna crack into the carburetor and give it a good and proper cleaning, I think. But I got that going. The seat, I'll scab in a picture, looked like it had been attacked by a rabid wolverine. The seat was freaking done. Done, done, done. Electrically, this bike had a lot of ghosts too. Headlight did not work. Those driving lights did not work. The turn signals did not work. Got all that sorted out with a little bit of wiring, and in one case a fuse, and some other stuff like that. A little bit of cleanup, a little bit of playing with. The turn signals required a new flasher relay. Also not a big deal, but you know, I had to dig through this thing and find all the fuses and where the relays are hidden and do some testing and stuff. The neutral indicator did not work, and one would think, okay, not a big deal, it's just an indicator light. The problem with that is when it was in neutral, it didn't know it was in neutral. Turned out to be the switch. So as soon as you let the side stand down, it wouldn't start. You'd have to have the side stand up or it wouldn't start and it wouldn't idle. Anyways, a bunch of wire tracing and sorting out and stuff like that, and it turned out to be the neutral indicator switch connection, believe it or not. So it was an easy fix. I didn't even have to pull the switch. So I got that sorted out. Fork seals. The fork seals on this thing leak, as you can see by that ring of goo right there. I am going to have to address that because we do have inspections, and this bike must pass an inspection for me to license it. And it will not pass an inspection with leaky fork seals. So there's that. Now, other than that, with all the lights and wiring, license plate light. Still haven't figured that one out. I haven't even opened it yet. Pretty sure it's just the bulb, because the tail and brake lights work, so the wiring is good to that point. So with all the lights working and the various switches and stuff, and a little bit more attention on the carburetor, I think I'm going to replace the front brakes. Can't really get in there for a good shot. There is some meat left on them. Haven't had a good look. Oh, the rear brakes were seized. Absolutely seized. Like you'd push the pedal and nothing would move. And now they work as intended. I'm nowhere near the wear indicator, so I know I don't have to replace those. Is that thing gonna focus? Maybe. Anyways, yeah, the rear brakes were seized. I got them working right. So we're definitely making some pretty good headway on this thing as far as getting it, you know, rideable and legal. And overall, I'm happy with it. So anyways, yeah, I went down and I looked at this thing, and a couple days, I said, you know, I'll get back to you. And I wasn't liking what I was seeing for $2,000, even though I really kind of fell in love with the bike itself. And Buddy called me up a couple days later and says, well, you know, what do you think? And I said, well, I don't want to beat you up. I don't want to insult you. I'm not here to make enemies. But a thing is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. I said, have you got any other offers on the bike? And he said, yeah, I've got one in for $1,500 Canadian, listed at $2,000, remember. And I said, well, honestly, sell it to the guy for $1,500 Canadian. It's not worth that to me. You know, there's a lot of stuff that needs attention. We don't know how simple or not simple they are, how hard it's going to be to find parts, which, by the way, pretty easy despite its age. And the guy says, okay, I get it. He says, what's it worth to you? And I said, I would happily roll the dice at $1,000 on this thing. And he says, yeah, that's way low. I said, yeah, you know, no insult intended. He says, none taken. I said, okay, well, you know, make your deal with the $1,500 guy and, you know, have a nice day. Whatever, thanks, bye. If anything changes, if the guy falls through, call me. He says, yeah, no problem. And I thought that was the end of it. A couple days later, guy calls me back, says the other buyer's a flake, it's yours for $1,000. And that's how we got here. That. All right, that should do it for the turn signals. All right, let's see if that all worked out as planned. Left turn. Dash light's blinking, left front's blinking, left rear is blinking. Fabulous. Right turn, dash light's blinking, front turn indicator blinking, and rear turn indicator blinking. Bravo. That officially means all I have left to do on wiring is figure out why the license plate light is not working. Probably a burnt out bulb. Alright, so let's just see if... Yep, okay. Don't think I have a spare one of these bulbs. This is like a common, like 1157 size base with a really small bulb. Don't know if I have any of these. Might have to go buy one. I feel pretty good about this thing for $1,000. Most of the stuff turned out to be really, really simple and or cheap and or free. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I was missing one front turn signal lens, and I found a set of very, very, very similar bullet motorcycle signals on Amazon. I think I paid 20 bucks. Pulled them out of the package, realized they were so similar that I didn't even have to go through the process of actually changing the lights out. I just pulled the lens off the Amazon one, put it on the bike, life's good. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this thing for $1,000. Everything's working out well. Parts availability is good from everybody I'm talking to and from everything I'm seeing. Honda replacement parts, even for something 30 years old, they're actually very attainable. Been looking on eBay, found fork seals and bushings and all that stuff, no problem. And the pricing isn't bad at all. Did a little homework on it. Downloaded the factory service manual, did some YouTubing stuff. I can certainly handle replacing the fork seals, not a big deal. Replacing the chain, using Master Link. Obviously I don't have the proper tools to re-rivet a new rivet style chain link, but I can certainly use the clip-on style Master Link, so I'm going to replace the chain and sprockets myself. Big brake pads are brake pads, what can I say? So yeah, here we are. Oil and filter change, whatever other maintenance I can figure out on this thing, maybe drain and flush the coolant, and life's good. So I have to get myself to the Department of Motor Vehicles, get my learner's permit again. I gotta be honest with you, I can't remember if I had it all those years ago. Did I actually write the test and get my learner's? I think so. I just don't remember for sure. Awesome. So anyways, listen, I hope you enjoyed seeing this thing. I'm pretty thrilled about it. Yeah, baby. I've put about 15 miles on it now, just circling the neighborhood and running up and down the street nearby here, totally illegally, but you know, working the kinks out of it. Had to check it out after I got the brakes sorted out. Had to see what the new seat felt like on my butt, you know, stuff like that. So thanks for tuning into Sprocket's Garage once again, and until next time, take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in to Sprocket's Garage, and until next time.